Welcome back, guys. So this is episode 7. How crazy is that?
I know, I didn't think we'd actually just stick that out, if I'm honest.
I know, we're sticking it out, doing really, really well. So in this podcast today, we are going to be talking about our little bubbly schnoobler.
Schnoobly-boobly.
Our dog Loki and IVDD. And then the second part, we will be talking about a very, very scary experience that we both found ourselves in, being in an earthquake. So I think
Bit of a crazy week, actually, wasn't it?
it was an absolute wild week. So let's just explain to everyone why we had to go to Bangkok. So if we can rewind and let's start with our little Loki bear. So Loki is a French bulldog, and we had just recently found out that he has what is called IVDD.
Yeah. So it was around, I think it's about January, wasn't it? January time. We come back from skiing.
Yeah.
And someone was looking after the dog, and we actually thought it might have been an incident that happened.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of what is this? Blaming someone else for it, because basically Loki wasn't himself.
No, he always used to sleep in our bed, and then all of a sudden he just took himself away, and we were like, that's really odd. He's such a cuddly, loving little dog. If you have a French bulldog, they are the most emotional, cutest little fur babies ever. The breed is just, they're hilarious. So when he started acting a little bit different, we were like, this isn't normal Loki, is it? He's acting really strange.
Yeah, so we just noticed that his ears were were down, because it was get worse every day, wasn't it? And it was his ears were down, and it was there's something up with him. So we took him to the vet straight away, and they just couldn't work out what it was. They done his bloods. We thought it was an ear infection, so we got him some ear, what's it called? Anyway, ear stuff.
Spray, but I'm pretty sure that made him worse.
Yeah, I think it did, because what happens, I sprayed it in his ear, and then he started shaking. And obviously, we'll explain what it is in a minute. He was on antibiotics, and he was on them for about 3 days, which was really odd, because he actually improved, didn't he? Within those 3 days, we're like, oh, all right, yeah. They thought it was blood parasites in the end, so we was treating him for that. The ear infection as well, because we thought we had two things. Just wasn't getting any. Well, he got better for 3 days, and then one morning he just woke up, and it was we thought he was having seizures.
That's what I was going to say next. Should we kind of explain the symptoms in case because we knew nothing about IVDD. I knew Frenchies had spinal issues, but I didn't know that it could be IVDD. So if we go back, what were the symptoms that Loki first started to have?
1, he took himself away from us.
1.
2, his ears were down.
Yeah.
Yeah, or head down.
Head down,
and 3, he just didn't want to move.
He was very agitated.
That was when
he
he was at his worst, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was very agitated. I remember when he was in the bed, he would just sit up, and then he would just be in a certain position. He would move to the end of bed, get up. He was just so agitated.
Yeah.
And then that's when we knew. I was like, there's something not right with Loki.
No, and it was horrible to watch as well, because bear in mind, we are in Koh Samui as well. The vets are absolutely amazing here, but they don't have everything. For example, MRI. For example, we took him back to the vets once again. She had an X-ray, and how amazing she was as well. She could barely see anything, and she was like, there's definitely something that I'm not happy with. She was like, you need to go to Bangkok.
Yeah, so she pointed to a specific area between his neck. So his head's there, his body's there. It was something here, and she goes, I think it's that. And we were like, can't be his neck, can it? Surely.
No, it was a little bit in denial, weren't we?
We were in denial. We were like, can't be. He hasn't, there's been no trauma there. We've had that dog for 4 or 5 years. Nothing.
Yeah. Got another course, didn't we, of antibiotics? Because she was like, it could be blood parasites, because his bloods were back, and they were really bad. Everything was just elevated, highly elevated. So she was like, here's some painkillers, and here are some steroids as well, which she gave us.
Tramadol.
Yeah,
tramadol?
We gave him Valium.
Which is very, very strong for a dog.
Absolutely just knocked him
Wiped him out. He was so sleepy.
Because he was in so much pain, we just had to basically get him under control. Medication took effect, and we're like, we need to get off this island, didn't we? So it was horrible to see, any animal in pain, but when it's in your animal, your
little fur
baby,
it's awful. So we don't actually have a car, did we? So you tell them what you did.
Yeah, so it was a Saturday afternoon. Obviously, how you get off the island is that you have to drive and you have to get a ferry. We could have got a plane, but it was just everything was fully booked.
Drive the car onto the ferry.
Yes,
there's no
yeah, the planes were fully booked. It was high season as well, so we was really struggling to find a car. I was searching for about 8 hours, and that's no exaggeration. I think it might have been a bit longer.
You didn't eat all day. I kept messaging you. I was like, Tom, you need to eat.
Yeah. But anyway, we in the end we found one. It was basically a little Thai couple that we rented off a truck, and we got off luckily the next following day, and we drove up to Hue Hin, which is about 8 hours from Koh Samui, and then we got up there. And then they're absolutely amazing. They done an MRI and then they just confirmed everything, didn't they?
Yeah, so Hue Hin is an animal hospital that had been put there because of the king of Thailand. And basically, Hue Hin Animal Hospital is where they train all the vets, and that's where they do all their practices. And it was an amazing animal hospital. It was really, really good. It was really sad seeing all the dogs in there. Like, that broke my heart. But it was a really good hospital. So we take Loki into this animal hospital. He goes to a reflexologist, neurologist, I think that's the word. Yeah. And they do all these kind of tests on the dog. Like, they go down his spine and they're like tapping it with like this, not machinery, like their little
devices.
Nerve endings of their feet.
Horrible.
And then they said to us, right, we need to get to the pain point now. So they go through, did they start at the back? I've got a video. And they work their way up. They get to Loki's neck and she squeezes it and he lets out this massive yelp. And like, that's where we just knew. We were like, okay, this is where the pain is coming from. We get the scan up. Now you can see it's the C2 and C3. The disc had completely degenerated. So that is what IVDD does. It basically just dissolves the cartilage.
Because we didn't actually know what he had from that drive, well, for like at least a week when it actually happened till getting to Hue Hin. So in our heads, we're like, what is this? Has he got like a tumor? Is this like cancer? Like, you start going through all like the horrible things. And I was like, we didn't think he was going to make it because he was in so much pain. He was like tramadoled up to his eyeballs, wasn't he? So he was just in so much pain. It was horrible.
And the thing is, with a little animal, you can't just shake them and be like,
or let them,
tell me what's wrong with you, because they can't. They just look all sad. And they're like, ah.
And then obviously they had those emotions. I never cry, by the way. Never cry, but I cried.
Tom cried.
I cried. It was awful.
I had to like keep it together. I was like, "You're gonna set me off if you start crying."
But the worst part was it gets worse than this part. But it was the part where they're like, right, he needs to have an MRI now, and he was like, you have to like obviously sign the life away, even though it's an MRI, because you have to put him to sleep. So obviously you can't do it when he's awake.
French bulldogs are high risk as well.
And it was like, it was awful. Because like, you take him to the room where you have to where they do the MRI.
And Frenchies know.
And he knew, like, I was, going in. And he just put his paws down. He was like, I ain't going in there. And it was like, come on. And he could see him just like, it was awful.
And he just looked at us and he was like, no, don't let me go in there. We were like,
and then he picked him up. And then like, you could just see his eyes just looking at me. I was like, oh God. It was awful. And then we come back about 3 hours later, and then they confirmed it. That was the IVDD. And then what they actually advised is, they were like, look, what we would advise is now, because he's very high risk, suggest doing like 10 days of a steroid course. And that will help to bring down the inflammation. And she did say, like, he'll be all right within a few weeks or so. It was very like, because, we've seen the image. We're like, this medication is not going to heal that.
Yes, when there's like, when you're looking at the scan and there's like, the disc is like gone, there's this blur line, it's like that will never come back. You can't grow back cartilage.
I mean, she was an amazing doctor, but she was incredible, but her thing was just like, if you can avoid it, the surgery, because it's very high risk. I understood that as well. I didn't want him to have the surgery, I'll be honest, but she was like, he's gonna have to be medicated for the rest of his life on painkillers, which is not one way to live.
It's not good for his kidney or
so we tried that. He was improving. It like masked the issue, didn't it?
It did, yeah. Steroids, and this is what you need to be aware of. Steroids can mask the issue, but once the dog stops the steroids, it can come back, and that's exactly what happened. He came off the steroids after 10 days. We noticed around his neck there was like a lot of inflammation, and it was right by the C2,
crazy
C3.
Amount of water.
Like we could just feel it. And I remember saying to you, I was like, Tom, feel his neck. And then when obviously there's like water retention, that's inflammation. Inflammation results in pain. So technically,
he ballooned up, didn't it?
Yeah. So technically, you know, the pain was coming back. So we just thought, you know what, we need to just. I can't bear to see that little animal go through all of that pain again. It was absolutely horrific. Yeah,
because that 2 days afterwards, he like went to go and tap you for attention, and he just let out that yelp again.
He yelped, and then I was like, I've heard that yelp before. And bearing in mind, Loki can walk, like he wasn't stage 4, stage 3, he was stage 1. But in our heads, we were like, but it was like, how long could we have left that stage 1 till it progressed to stage 2, stage 3, and then potentially, you know, he might not be able to walk.
Yeah.
So this is where we get on to our next part of the story. So we decided the right thing for little Loki Bear. Let's go get the operation. First of all, you sent the scan to the doctors in Bangkok Animal Hospital. Tell them what they said.
Yeah, so they basically just booked it in with them. They saw the MRI. The reason why we chose that hospital as well, because he's like a specialist in French bulldogs and IVDD, so he's done it loads of times. We had full trust in him as well, because of like the recommendations. We spoke to like a number of people, like, no, this is the guy that you need to go and see. We actually did look at stem cell treatment as well, by the way. It's actually very affordable over here. It's still a crazy price, but it's more affordable over here, and that's something that we was looking at. It just seemed very, very complicated, and it may not. But yeah, in the end, we decided to go for the surgery because it's just been proven. So we booked it in with the doctor, drove up there, which took us about 12 hours.
12-hour road trip, yeah. You drove the whole way. I had Loki on my lap.
Same truck. We rented out.
Same truck, yeah. The little Thai family lent us the truck again. You literally, like, it's just straight, isn't it? For like 12 hours. No traffic. You just literally drive straight for 12 hours.
No traffic at all. It's just pretty much a straight road, and the stuff you see on that drive, like you see monkeys like hanging off the back of like lorries, and like
people just sleep on the side of the lorry,
sleeping on the lorries, like on top.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a crazy drive. It's entertaining.
If you follow our Instagram accounts, what do people say? They're like, watching us is like watching a TV show.
Yeah, in Thai they drive up there every single week.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do that, but yeah, it's
I
crazy.
get like a bad back after 12 hours. I'm like, I need to stretch.
Yeah.
I had a massage yesterday, and that helped. So go back on to what we were discussing. So you sent the scan to the vet in Bangkok Hospital, the doctor, and he was like, yep, we can do this. So we're on our road trip, 12 hours from the ferry to Koh Samui. We drive to Bangkok. I let you pick the hotel. I was like, look, Tom, please make sure this hotel has a gym, because I was like, part of my lifestyle, I need to use the gym every day. So you found it was a lovely hotel, wasn't it? It was
pet friendly.
It was an Ibis hotel. Is that what it's called?
Ibis styles. Yeah.
Ibis style. They allowed dogs, which was perfect. So we checked in.
A new build.
It was a new building.
Which is very important, which we'll show you in a
new build. So we were there for how many days? We booked
6 days in total, because Loki needed to be in ICU a maximum of 5 days.
Yeah.
So they obviously has the surgery, and then ICU is basically someone overlooking him while in an oxygenated room.
Yeah.
It was a tiny little cage, to be fair, for 5 days. After the 2 days, we went to Loki in for his surgery.
That's it. Yeah.
Which again was absolutely horrible, because again it was high risk. The reason why it's so high risk as well, they like cut open here to get to his C2, so they cut and they move his throat across as well to get to it.
They sent us a picture.
And obviously Frenchies have breathing issues as it is, and then obviously you're operating on his spine as well, so it's like, it's a crazy procedure. I mean, the doctor though, he was like, it's okay, another.
And the thing is, that's what put me at ease, because he was so confident.
Yeah.
I know you were like on edge, but I was like, the woman at Hugh Hin referred him, and then obviously we met him, and I just felt really confident that nothing was bad was going to happen.
It was
to
awful,
Loki.
but like I generally, I didn't think he was going to make it at one point.
Bit. Really?
Not through that, but like there was a few times where I didn't think he was going to make it. When I saw him in his absolute worst, when he's on the floor, in so much pain, it was awful. And then we had to go and say goodbye to him again when he went into the surgery. Again, that was awful.
He just got carried off, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then he was like,
I must have made him gain about like 3 kilos of weight. We're just being, here's an extra treat. Here's an extra treat.
No, we definitely fattened him up, didn't we?
Oh,
Which
God.
isn't good for their spine.
Emotional time, I will say that.
It really was. Okay, so going on to the next part of this story that intertwine.
He had his surgery, it was on the first day.
And that's it.
And then we got confirmation that night saying the surgery was a complete success.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah. But the surgery itself wasn't the most riskiest part. He did say, didn't it? It's post. And the reason why is because inflammation can gather around his throat, stopping his breathing. So that's why he had to be in ICU and the medication that he had to be on as well. And the real stuff happens after that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So we drop Loki off. We drive back to our hotel. We're in the hotel. We're like, okay, it's client day, full day of work. So we had calls.
It was the second day when it was on the Friday.
Yeah, that's right. We had calls back to back. I think we had how many calls that day? Like 3 or 4?
3 or 4, yeah.
It's going to sound wild when we say it. So we're just on a call. We're talking we had Colin, didn't we?
Colin, yeah.
Colin, we had her. So that was the first call. We then had Jude. She was the second call. So whilst we were talking to Jude about her goals and what she's going to achieve this year, I'll let you finish the story.
Just about to finish off with Jude, weren't we? And then sitting there, and it just started off real slow. So it was just like, I was like, what the hell? Like, it felt like really strange. Like, bear in mind, you are in like a skyscraper, and you're just getting this rocking motion. And I was like, oh, is that me? Like, and then I just saw like the wall just open. It just went.
Do you know what I heard first?
Yeah,
so,
like gravel.
So I was sitting here, so imagine the laptop's here, and then I'm like looking up because I hear this noise, and it sounds like when someone drops things on the ceiling, like it was loads of cracking, but it was above my head. So whilst you're like just talking to Jude, I'm like looking up like this, and I'm like trying to work out, I'm like, what, are they painting above us? Like, what is there building
like,
work?
It sounded like someone was dropping like gravel.
That's it, yeah.
On the ceiling. So I was like, there must be something work going on above.
Yeah, to this.
Fucking move it.
Should we go outside? Sorry, leave me back in here. Should we go outside?
Fuck.
Go outside. Okay, back in
Yeah. The funniest bit is, be back in a minute.
Cracking. So basically, like, the walls start cracking. You very quickly, like, you had your phone in your hand, so you start filming the wall.
Because I thought it was funny.
There's a massive crack. So obviously, in Samui, we've had small earthquakes before.
And we're used to that. We'd be like, ooh.
It was like a small one, and we'd be like, ooh. And then we'd laugh and we'd be like, oh my God, that was an earthquake, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but Samui is a very, like, you won't get tsunamis here, touch wood. Touch wood. It's a very safe island. So we kind of laughed it off, didn't we? We're like, we're in Bangkok, like, haha, this is funny. And then it got so violent. Yeah. My heart literally just dropped.
Yeah. So that crack just got bigger and bigger, and then it was just breathing. The wall was breathing. And then you can hear me like, oh my God, look, it's an earthquake. Like I was pretty calm, and then it didn't show on the camera, but after that it went, and that's when my face just went, like it was serious.
So I like ran to the window. I had my phone because you were filming, so I was like, I'm gonna get my phone. So then I'm a bit frantic with it. I'm like, oh my God. So you can't, it's a blur, to be honest. My phone is a blur, but I was filming it. I ran to the window because I was like looking at all the other buildings, looking outside, like, is it just us? Like, what the hell's going on? And at that point I was like, should we run? And I question it. I'm like, maybe we should run. And then you see in my voice, I'm like, we need to fucking run. We need to get out of here.
Sorry, Jude. Be back in a minute.
I laughed because I was like, this is really embarrassing. We're on a phone call to a client, and then all of a sudden I'm panicking. So I'm like, there's an earthquake. We might die. I'm like, Jude, I'm laughing. I'm like, Jude, I'll see you in a minute. Like, we'll go downstairs and we'll come back up and we'll finish the call. And then little did we know it was much more serious than that. It was a 7.7 magnitude. Yeah. 7.7. And that is absolutely... That is wild. That is really strong for an earthquake.
The highest ever is like 9.5. So we had 7.7. 7.7. So it was a crazy experience. But like when we was running down the stairs, like it felt like we was on a boat.
Oh my God.
Like it was like this, and it was so violent. And then you could hear everyone above us like running down the stairs as well, and they're screaming. And that's when I'm like, oh, okay, this is serious.
Yeah.
Like, this is really serious. And then we obviously get down to the bottom, and then it just stopped. So it was pretty, I'd say about a minute.
About a minute.
A whole minute in total of an earthquake. But the funniest thing, I don't know if it's funny or not, but like we got down to the bottom and we saw that chef, didn't we?
Yeah.
Just a Thai chef. He's just like, this way to
and
the
he's
exit.
just
He's
smiling.
just smiling.
He's just like,
and we're like, what is going on?
He's literally just smiling, and I'm like, you're not running? Like, why are you not running with us?
And he's just like, bear in mind, he's still in the building, just directing us.
Just directing
a
us.
classic Thai.
So
just
then
chilled.
we run outside, and I'm like, okay, maybe we're overreacting. Maybe we're just, we're from the UK. We don't get earthquakes. Maybe we're overreacting.
Yeah.
We go outside, and there is hundreds of Thai locals, people outside. Everyone is panicking. This is making me panic more because I'm like, okay, it wasn't just us. Like, this was pretty much the whole of Bangkok. There were so many people in the street, and then it gets worse because I hear all these ambulances and the police cars drive past, and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell has happened?
Yeah. So it was everyone had been shaken by it, and then we get news of like, there's skyscrapers that have crashed, pools have been emptying, and we're like, oh my God, like this is serious. And we had nothing. We had literally had our phones. We didn't even have any shoes on.
We didn't have any shoes on. And the floor was
boiling.
Boiling. It was so hot. And then bless this Thai woman. She just saw me standing there and she gave me her sliders.
Yeah, bless her.
Love the Thais. They're so lovely.
Yeah. And then I just said to Aston, I was like, look, let's just go and get some food. I was hungry. Just go and get some food because we're going to be here for a few hours because someone's probably going to have to come and inspect this building.
Can you believe that, guys? We had an earthquake and Tom's like, I'm hungry. I was like, Tom, there's an earthquake. I'm panicking going, there's going to be another one. This building here is going to fall on us. And Tom's like, I'm hungry. I want to go get some food. I'm just like, you are a typical
when I get nervous, get hungry.
No, you weren't. You were just really hungry.
I was starving, yeah. But so we went and had some food. And I was like, let's just go and chill for a bit because I even after a few hours, I don't expect us to be able to go back in.
I was not chilling. I was frantic on my phone, looking at Bangkok news going, is there going to be another one? Because when you have like a massive one, they have what's called aftershocks. Is that it? So there's like couple, and like we just didn't know. No one can predict it. Are there going to be any more? Was this one going to be of a higher magnitude? Like no one knows. You can't predict this. So we were both terrified. I was terrified. I don't know how about you.
Yeah, we obviously had some food, and then it was like about 2 or 3 hours after we went back, expecting still everyone to be outside.
We were in that cafe for like 4 hours,
Yeah.
charging my phone. My family were frantically messaging me. My sister was trying to FaceTime me. They were like, what is going on? And we're like, I don't know. The only thing, obviously, we did know it was an earthquake. So it was just
But when we went back, I was expecting everyone to be outside still, but everyone's inside, just carried on their day. Normal working inside at reception. I was like, no way. But that was in the UK. You wouldn't be allowed to go back in.
I was so scared to go back to the room.
Yeah.
I was on edge the whole day. And so in the end, we actually decided to go back, and then we changed hotels, didn't we?
Before you get to that bit, it was when we were walking up to the actual... So Aston stayed downstairs, and then when I was like, we're going to have to get our stuff.
I was just so scared.
Bear in mind, I had the old Thai couples... like truck in there. I was like, oh my God, their things going to get crushed. All our stuff's going to get crushed. They said, oh yeah, you can go up to your room and carry on. And normal, I was like, no, this doesn't sit right with us. So we're walking back up to the room, got the elevator up, and I'm walking through, and there's like cracks coming down, ceilings are falling down, and their tyres are just there hoovering it all up, just like pretending like nothing's happened.
Just hoovering it up, but they weren't small cracks. Like I'm talking from top of that corner all the way down. They're like, you have no idea if the building is just going to crumble.
Yeah.
Like when there's cracks, it is weakened.
Yeah, I mean, we just thought, no, there's no way we're staying out. Even when we went up to the room, it still felt, I don't know if it was in my head, but when we were standing in that room, I still felt like it's swaying. It wasn't. It was 100, I don't think it was. But it felt like it was swaying. So we was like, look, I know that if I'm feeling it, you're all going to be feeling it as well.
Oh
so
my
it's like,
God.
we just made the decision to go and stay at another hotel.
But do you know what? No one will believe me. No one will believe this. But that morning, I typed into, this is how creepy it was. We didn't even talk about the wasps, did we?
No.
So
but this is us getting all
this is us thinking, so basically that morning in Bangkok, I was lying in the bed, and then I woke up, didn't I? And then I typed into ChatGPT, I went, does Bangkok have earthquakes? It was I put disaster. Does Bangkok have natural disasters? I took a screenshot of when I sent it as
She
well.
honestly did that,
So
by
I
the way.
did that 1 hour, and then an hour later we had a fucking earthquake. I was just like, what?
And then if you want to get really
Crazy.
superstitious as well, is when we was having breakfast in the morning, like there was like
In the
loads. Did I say morning? In the morning. In the morning. There was like loads of wasps, weren't there?
Yeah.
Like we was on the 8th floor, and they were all just surrounded.
So
by,
our room was on the 8th floor. I think
it was below us.
it was below, the where you have breakfast. It was
Yeah.
really, really lovely.
But the wasps were high up, and there was thousands. of
Yeah,
them.
so we were sitting here, like we were both here, and we were looking outside the window, and you were like, "Can you see those wasps?" And I was looking, and I was like, "Yeah." I stood up, I looked out the window, and I was trying to see if anything disturbed these wasps because there was hundreds, weren't there? And we couldn't see anything.
It could have been a coincidence.
And now we're looking back and we're thinking, did those wasps know?
Yeah.
Did they know something was?
Because they work off vibrations, everyone.
Did they know? Did the wasps know? And they were, I don't know, they were freaking out,
There was
just
some
like we
creepy
was.
stuff happening that.
Yeah, there was so. And when we look back, we're like, oh my god.
But yeah, going back to it, we made that decision to go and stay somewhere else because we both just didn't feel
I was
at ease.
on edge.
That well, the biggest thing is, like Aston said earlier, with the aftershocks is, it could have been 2 o'clock in the morning. We were in our beds
Oh my
because we went back into that hotel, and then it hit us.
That's the
And
thing.
then
If that building
done.
collapsed and then we went back into it, like we would have been really stupid because we would have gone back into it. That's what I kept thinking.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not the earthquakes that are like scary. It's the infrastructure and buildings falling down on you. And
Yeah.
obviously it's not nice, but like that building, there was one building, weren't there, in the whole of Bangkok that collapsed. And unfortunately, I think people did lose their lives, which is awful,
Yeah.
but scary shit.
I mean, it was. That's the thing is as well. Like, when you're driving through Bangkok and you're going underneath like the
Bridges.
bridges and everything like that, you just like that. Everyone was just on so much edge because we were just like, well, is this safe? I mean, it must have been because it's still standing. So, but it does play with your head massively. But after the actual earthquake, we didn't know where to go. We don't really know Bangkok, and we were like, well, where's safe? Where's something that we were like, the gym. We go to the gym. So we went to the gym. Everyone was laughing because we posted on story, but like, it was actually quite a good decision.
The gym was safe. If you haven't been, it's called Muscle Factory in Bangkok. It's a really, really cool gym.
Yeah.
I love that gym. I thought it was well cool. It was really hot though. But one thing, when we looked up, like the ceilings were so big, it wasn't surrounded by like a lot of infrastructure, high buildings. So I felt really safe there. When we were in the gym, we were like thinking, weren't we? If the roof collapsed, what bit of equipment would you hide under? But you were so big, you weren't getting under anything.
I was dead. I was just dead once. We actually was doing that in the gym as well. We're like trying to find hiding places just in case.
But it was terrifying, wasn't it?
It was actually mental thinking about it, but that was like probably not the first time. It was an experience that I thought I was going to die.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like when we were running down those stairs and you could hear everyone screaming.
You could hear the walls cracking. So apparently, if there's an earthquake, do not go down the stairs because apparently they're the weakest to fall first.
But someone was like, "Oh yeah, hide under your chair." Oh come on! Like
apparently you meant stop, drop, and hide under something.
If you look at that one that people died, that just went straight down.
Do you know?
And then there's us hiding under a chair.
Do you know what? If I always think like you've got like 10 seconds to think what you're going to do, and my natural instinct was to run. I put the video on TikTok and everyone was sort of taking the piss out of Tom, saying he was really slow and he has no survival instincts because he was just laughing at this crack in the wall, and I'm going, Tom, we need to fucking run. We need to run.
Hold on. So in my defense,
oh, it's really raining.
Defense. We've experienced this before.
Bring your mic a bit closer.
That's right. It's got it. I can see it.
Just
in my defense, everyone that said I have zero survival instincts.
Oh, you're buying it, this?
Yeah, I am buying it.
Go on.
Because we was recorded and it wasn't so violent at the start, was it? All right, yeah, there was cracks opening. All right, maybe I was a little bit slow.
What's your point? What is your point? You were a little bit slow.
I ran in the end and I survived.
We got down 8 flights of stairs in 14 seconds. I tried to time it.
Yeah, it was...
But it's terrifying. So, like,
you don't know what to do.
My advice, if you're in an earthquake, like, I personally think get out of the building.
That's what I thought.
I think get out of the building because a building can collapse and it is just going to crush whatever is underneath
Yeah.
it. If you're out the building, at least you're sort of, I don't know.
It's
like
because people are like, oh yeah, because when it sways and it will break. But if we all watched the one that fell down, it literally just went like that.
It went so
and then people are like,
quick.
oh yeah, hide under your desk. That's not going to save you.
No,
Run.
no.
That's why. But yeah, it's horrible to obviously see people actually lose their lives.
So the next day, we were like, okay, like we were both on edge, weren't we? And then we were like, right, we got all of our work done with TA coaching, and we were like, okay, let's go and explore Bangkok. Obviously I was really on edge still, but you were like, let's go into the shops. So we did like a little bit of shopping. We didn't really get anything, did we? We just went and had a look. Yeah. But you could just feel like everyone was still so on edge. It was kind of like, I'm not going to say apocalypse. Is that the right word?
Yeah, well, no, everyone was just on edge.
Everyone was
but
just
like
on edge.
There was a few places that were closed because like the car parks and stuff.
Yeah, like parts of buildings had actually like the plasterboard had cracked and like people were like
the plasterboard.
Yeah, people were filming. Pipes had burst.
So yeah, it was a lot going on. And you're just driving around, you're just like, please don't fall on me, please don't fall on me.
Do you remember we parked in a car park and I was so on edge, like I wanted to get out of that car park story building as quick as we could. I was like screaming at you like, please hurry up, I don't want to be inside it.
Yeah, it was we've probably done the worst thing actually. We went shopping the next day. That was pretty stupid actually looking back.
Well, the plan was just to go to the mall and then go to Lupini Park.
Yeah.
But we had to kill some time because Loki was in recovery, bless him.
Yeah, everyone was, oh, why are you not leaving? I was like, we can't leave the dog.
So yeah,
never leave a man behind.
People don't realise this, but we could not leave Bangkok. We couldn't take Loki. He was in ICU, so he was under like a lot of special care.
Like the roads were gridlocked as well. Like you couldn't actually get out that day. The following day, they were quite busy because everyone had the same thoughts as us, like moving hotel, and people's condos were completely ruined as well.
They were, yeah. A few of our friends had to move condos, didn't they, in Bangkok?
Yeah. And people that will at our same hotel were like, yeah, we're getting out of Bangkok. I'm never coming here again.
Yeah.
Like I think the tourism might take a bit of a hit there. But what I would say, it's the news probably makes it a lot worse than it actually is. I will say that. I mean, it was pretty terrifying. Obviously they just concentrate on one thing. That's obviously
the news will just take like they want those videos, don't they? They just want the worst of it, and then they show it around the world. But it was mad how quickly it got to the UK. Like my family messaged me so quickly, and I was like, "This was like half an hour ago. How did you know?" So like news spreads so quickly.
Yeah, but yeah, that was an experience. It was a very emotional week. I will say that. One, I thought Loki was going to die. 2, I thought we were going to die. 3, I thought was going to prison at one point. That was another next bit. But yeah, that
what?
I thought I was going to go to prison.
Oh yeah, we got a fine. Tom drove in like 2 lanes in Bangkok.
Yeah, it was very exaggerated as well from the policeman. They all, yeah. But it was just driving through Bangkok, and we was going to Lupini Park where all the lizards are. And lizards.
What are they called?
Monitor lizards.
Monitor lizard. Yeah, they're scary looking dinosaurs.
So we're going to chill there. There's no like high buildings there. And yeah, I did cut in, but I did cut in, and then I cut around a corner as well.
The truck was sticking out into 2 lanes. And the police officer was like, "Yes, you get in."
And I was like, "No." And then he done me for just obstructing the traffic. What was the next one?
There's only 2.
No, there weren't.
Shut up.
Oh yeah, all right, won't show them. But anyway,
there were just 2, weren't there? Obstruction and what was the other one? Another one. Anyway, you had to pay £40 for a fine. So we were like, "Oh, top it off." Yeah. We had a fine. We're in an earthquake. Loki's got spinal surgery.
I was like, "Just get me out of here.
Get us back to our little island, Koh Samui, where it's a safe little bubble for us."
Yeah. So that was our week in Bangkok.
So we've got 20 minutes left, so I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay, so I'm going to ask you questions about being in an earthquake in case anyone else has ever found themselves in an earthquake. Hopefully not. Did the earthquake change the way you think about being prepared for emergencies?
Yes. Don't film it. As soon as you feel it, just run.
Okay.
It's like going,
no laughing.
no
you
laughing,
you
just
just
get
got
a
to
run.
laugh.
I will say though, your brain does take probably about 5 seconds to actually process what's going on.
Definitely.
Because like especially if it's your first one as well, you're a bit like.
And that's what I was trying to say to people. I'm like, we're from the UK. Like we don't
get
get anything. There's nothing really exciting that happens in the UK.
That's not exciting.
Of course.
That's not exciting. That's a wrong word.
Wrong one. You know what I mean, though. Like we don't. So we're not taught that. Like we're not. I don't remember being taught at school what to do if an earthquake happens.
No.
But in my head, it was literally get out the building and run. Go find like safety away from tall buildings that could potentially, crush you.
There's not really any way to prepare for it. I will say that.
Going back to Loki, what are we doing now for post-surgery? So if anyone is watching and their little fur baby has been diagnosed with IVDD, what advice would you give to them? What have we done? What have we put in place to make sure he recovers well?
Okay, so every IVDD post-surgery recovery, whatever it is different. So every single dog. Ours had stage 1 and he's got C2 removed.
I think it goes up to stage 5, doesn't it? So obviously
stage
5 is like the worst for the dog. The dog is paralyzed and they can't obviously move their paws.
So for Loki, what we actually are going to be doing is no activity for 4 weeks.
A whole month,
4 weeks. I mean, he's actually allowed to do small walking just to go to the toilet.
That's it, yeah.
But right now he's at home. We've basically got like a ramp for him on like the bed,
the sofa, and the ramp.
He's not allowed to run. He's not allowed to jump. He's not allowed to play. Basically anything that's going to be too excitement, even though he still wants to play sometimes. We have to chill him out.
Yeah, I think most importantly, do not let your dog jump. Jumping is probably it's the worst thing for IVDD.
Yeah.
Repetitive movements aren't great either.
Quite active, aren't we?
We're very active.
But it's not like he does like loads of like walking everywhere with us. Like he comes and just chills. He's a pretty chilled dog, but maybe us being active did cause that possibly. But
do you know what I was thinking when I put it online and I was like, I knew nothing about it, and I'm not joking you, I had about 100 people say my dog has this. So it's really, really common in French bulldogs, regardless if they're kind of active, not active.
Yeah, it's true, maybe. But supplementation as well. Like he's got a hell of a lot of subs, hasn't he? So it's his diet as well. He's got a very good diet. He actually eats our food. That's we British give him, don't we?
Clean, very clean. Yeah, lots of chicken.
Very clean.
Lots of chicken. He eats some rice.
Yeah, and loads of like cod liver oils, very strong ones for his joints. And yeah, there's going to be a bit of a lifestyle change for him because like with the running and the jumping, he's going to be allowed to run, but only on like soft like sand, for example. No jumping, no going upstairs or anything like that. But I think the biggest thing is him jumping on and off sofas.
Yeah,
that's what caused
that dog will just leap off it, won't he?
But what they did actually say, this has happened over a long period of time, didn't they?
Yeah. So when they went to we didn't actually explain what they've done for Loki.
Yeah,
so
we didn't know.
Obviously they've gone through the throat, they've opened up his throat, moved the throat out the way rather, got to the C2, C3 disc, and they have chipped away 90%. And removed 90% of C2.
Yeah.
So what had actually happened...
And then they chiseled C3.
That's it. Where it had been there for so long, it had calcified. So he said the surgery actually took 2.5 hours, and it was meant to take roughly, like an hour and a half. So because it had calcified, it took longer to chip away, which is crazy. Because so that just said it had been happening over a long period of time.
Like years.
Yeah.
So... it's strange because like we try to be really careful with him as well. Like we don't, like I say, it's one of those things. It's like, if we try and get him to jump up, or you just don't think it would ever happen to your dog.
Yeah. So I think
he never showed any signs, did he, of any pain whatsoever?
I think Frenchies hide it well.
Yeah,
don't they?
like he's quite a strong little dog whatsoever. No pain, or like he was just jumping around until
it got unbearable.
And like as soon as you notice something wrong with your dog, like any dog owner knows their dog, and as soon as it like there's something you feel that's not right, don't mess around. Just go to the doctors.
So the things to look out for. I'm not sure if we said this. Change of behaviour. So if you see as well like physical changes, so their ears are down, their neck is like in a stiff position, and then they're kind of stuck and they don't move. He also had like muscle spasm twitching in his face. So his face, do you want to do it? Like, yeah, it literally did that. Do again. He was twitching, yeah, and we thought he was having a seizure, but there was no. They checked the brain scan, no seizure. What else was he doing? He was yelping.
Yeah, it was awful.
Pain.
Oh, honestly,
but I want to tell people like this is what you need to look out for, because your dog could potentially have IVDD. He was a perfectly normal, healthy dog. We had no idea all of these symptoms happened, and then obviously it turns out MRI, the spine showed that the disc was bulging into the spinal cord, and it causes extreme amount of pain for that dog. So please look out for those signs if your little fur baby is showing any.
My best advice is don't let them jump on and off the sofa
from like a young age. I think just don't.
I think if they're like, you know, your active dog, like, you know, just the usual dogs of like Labradors, I don't think they get any issues like. Or is it any dog?
Some big dogs can get it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say to you, this is like don't allow your dogs to jump if you can.
No jumping.
Especially smaller dogs.
Small dogs, they're not meant for jumping, are they?
No.
Bless them.
No, they're just made for to sit there and
be cuddled.
Sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is our week, guys. It's been very emotional. Loki's now in recovery. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
No more earthquakes.
No more earthquakes.
No more
earthquakes. Can just I just wonder, all I want is just to chill on my little island and have a really peaceful life.
That's
all I want.
Make some gains.
Yeah. So we are now going to officially lock ourselves away in our little bubble with our animals and just get in crazy shape. That is the goal.
High-five me.
That's the goal. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, guys. But yeah, see you in the next one.